Hey guys, it's Kathleen. Welcome back to my channel. I am doing a quick and dirty what sold video simply because last weekend in Alabama was tornado day and there were so many tornadoes forecast I didn't even bother going out. I was a little bit nervous about it, to be honest with you. And also I figured everything was going to be shut down anyway, and I was not wrong. So no thrifting last weekend, and this weekend is spring break, which I'm super stoked about, but I'm in Florida and our travel day was Saturday. So no yard sales this weekend either. However, we're leaving next week on Friday so that I can thrift on Saturday. So instead of doing a thrifting video, I am doing a what sold video. It is just 30 items that I sold within the last couple of weeks to give you an idea of what's moving. All right, I'm gonna jump right into it. I'm gonna cover my eBay items first, then a couple of Mercari items, and a couple of Poshmark items. So the first item up is this set of Oneida steak knives. So these are super vintagey. I paid only $2 for them at an estate sale. And I love picking up Oneida. Oneida always moves. These have sat around for a really long time. I'm not gonna lie. I thought they were just a little bit more interesting than just your typical flatware because they came in their original case. And even though it took a long time, I mean, these have been listed for several months, they eventually sold for $48, which was my full asking price, so I was super stoked about that sale. Next up is this skin lip gloss, and I paid about $25 for this, probably a little bit less. I picked these up in a, whoops, that was my cheat sheet. I picked these up at a yard sale probably about a year ago. I got an entire box filled with Mary Kay cosmetics and some random brands. This was one of the random brands. All of it was brand new, old stock, sealed, all the things for $5. You can't beat that for $5. And I have just slowly been getting rid of that inventory over the last 6 months to a year since I picked it up. So I was super happy. This is the last skin lip gloss to sell. Again, I paid 25 cents for it and it sold for $10. Okay, you might remember me picking this next item up. I picked up actually 2 of these vintage jumbo hefty bags. I love picking up new old stock, sealed and in the package. It's one of my favorite things to pick up. Some of it is just total crap and doesn't even ever sell, but some of it sells fairly well. So this was one of the fairly well categories. I paid $2 for this package, and I ended up getting 2 of them, but only one of them has sold, but it sold for $24. So not a bad pickup at all. I actually picked this up at the same yard sale where I got that huge lot of Villeroy and Bach French Garden for $30. So that yard sale is the yard sale that just keeps on giving, as you will see, because later on in the video I sold another piece of that Villeroy and Bach, so yay. All right, next is this little golden book. I picked this up just a couple of weeks ago at a yard sale, and I picked up a bunch of vintage little golden book storybooks for 25 cents a piece. These things, some of them are just total garbage, but sometimes you can hit gold. Now, I won't say that this is gold, but for a 25-cent investment, this sold within a few days of having listed it for $12. And it's going medium mail, so it's super cheap to ship. It is easy to store. I keep all my books together just in one bin, so it's not taking up a lot of space in my inventory. And so I always pick these things up if the price is right. And then I just have to donate the ones that aren't worth listing, which is no big deal. This is actually the second one that sold. The first one sold for around $8. So already I've got $20 out of a 50-cent investment. So that is definitely worth taking the time to look into them. All right, I grabbed this Funko Pop keychain guy at the Pokemon sale that I went to probably about a month ago. I think it was about 4 weeks ago. Anyway, he sold him to me for $1. He was new and in the package. This guy sold overnight. I dragged my heels on listing him because the comps were anywhere from $8 to $12, so I wasn't all that hot to get him listed, but I finally did get him listed and he sold overnight for $10. A couple of weeks ago when I went to that community-wide rummage sale, I picked up 2 pair of Miss Me jeans. and I paid $4 each a pair. And I told you, I always pick up Miss Me jeans because they move. They don't always go for $40, but I don't care because they always sell through, which is absolutely worth it to me. Both of those pairs have sold. This was actually the second pair to sell. This is the size 27 pair. Both of them were bootleg jeans. And like I said, I paid $4 for them, and it sold for $20. I picked up this Johnny Was shirt 2 weeks ago at an estate sale. I love to pick up Johnny Was. This is not one of the more desirable pieces. I think that the gray colored shirts tend to do a lot better. Plus, this is an embroidered t-shirt, which is good, but the sleeves and everything were not embroidered. So some of them have a lot more embroidered detail on them, and they do a little bit better. In any event, I only paid $6 for this, and it sold overnight for $32. I grabbed this Free People red oversized blouse, I guess, or tunic-y type thing. Free People is one of those things that I won't spend more than $1 on it unless it's new with tags. And so I found this at a yard sale. It was $1, but I got it because it's that boho chic look. It was, I want to say it was either a medium or a large, and it was very oversized, and I just knew that was going to move. So once again, I paid only $1 for this shirt, and it sold for $20. Now this has been listed a couple of months, and it may have even been listed like 6 months. I'm fairly certain I picked it up this past fall. It could have even been late spring last year. But it moved, it goes. So for $1 investment, not a bad deal. This North Face jacket I picked up at that church rummage sale that I went to at the end of the fall yard selling season. Everything there was $2. This was in a men's extra large, and it is a full zip fleece jacket. So North Face is just meh. It doesn't really sell very high, but there are certain pieces that if you get them for a good price, they're definitely gonna move. This was one of them. So again, this was in a size men's extra large, which was also a good thing, and it did sell for $36. I also grabbed at that same yard sale 3 of these New Direction cheetah quilted full zip vests. They were new with tags. Nothing spectacular in the comps, but they were all 3 new with tags and only $2 a piece. So I grabbed all 3 of them, and they have steadily sold. I take that back, I have 1 left. Both of them have sold for the full price of $14, which isn't any great shakes, but still. I keep all of my jackets and vests and things like that in a closet in my inventory room, which makes them really easy to access and everything. I don't pre-package them like I do the shirts. And so it's very easy for me to store them, so I didn't mind that pickup at all. I would 100% do that all over again. All right, next is this little lot of 2 packs of Creative Memory stickers. And I included that in this What Sold video just because it is all part of my theory of just parting out works sometimes. Because last fall, I got this huge box of Creative Memory things. Tons and tons of stickers, and a lot of them weren't even Creative Memory stickers. Just tons and tons of stuff for $5. And it was a lot. And a lot of it I never even listed, but I sorted through and I kind of lotted up together things that were alike. I had a lot of Stickopotamus stickers. I had a lot of Creative Memory stickers. I had a lot of die cuts, a lot of like embellishment things that you would use in crafting or also in scrapbooking type stuff. All of that stuff, then I donated the stuff that wasn't even worth my time. And these things have just been steadily selling. So for my $5 investment, I have easily made over $150. I may even be closing in on the $200 mark. So it is well worth it to do it. It has just been a little bit here, a little bit there, you get a sale. And you know, you don't get excited over a $5 sale because that's what these sold for, $5. But it all adds up together. It is definitely worth it. I wholeheartedly subscribe to Kevin, the Commonwealth Picker's mantra of when in doubt, part it out. I've just had a lot of luck doing that. All right, next is this set of 3 iced teaspoons. I grabbed these at an estate sale for $1 All three of them were $1. They might have even been less, but at least $1. And they are definitely antique. I took my Wean-All cleaner to them and got them as clean as I could. But you can see there's just a ton of age evident in these spoons. And they have sat for a hot minute, probably 9 months easy, but they finally sold, and they sold for their full price of $18. Okay, back to that Pokemon sale. I picked up this Roblox Chicken Simulator figure pack, new and in the package. Super excited because the comps were all like $75, $80, and then wah wah, the code was used. So there goes my $75 sale. But I only paid $1 for it, and it's still sold for $15, so that's a win. Up next is the second pair of Miss Me jeans to sell. This is the pair that was a 28 in size and also boot cut. Again, I paid $4 for it, and this pair sold for $17. So these were listed for $20, but I took an offer of $17. Next up are these Noritake stoneware bowls. This is a set of 2. This was at a churchyard sale. I got an entire box of Noritake stoneware, plates, bowls, cups, saucers, you name it, it was in that box. And I listed a bunch of it, and I'm not gonna lie, I got so tired of listing it, and it was moving so slowly, and all of the listing prices were low on the lower side. So I ended up stopping and donating the rest of it, but I already earned my money back prior to this set selling. I think this is the last set that I have of that whole set, and this is again for 2 bowls, and I paid, I lost my place on my list. I paid about 20 cents for this based upon the size of the lot that I bought, and they sold for $18. And I don't know, let me know in the comments what you think, if I should have just kept plugging along. It was just so much work because I'm super anal about how I ship things, and so most of the time I double box, or if I don't double box, I use so much wrapping, and it takes so long to get it so that it's secure and will survive shipping, because I hate when I have to refund based upon breakage. And so that was really why I abandoned the whole thing, because I was looking at what I was gonna make, and I thought, this is just not worth my time. But maybe it was, because I sold 2 bowls for $18, so I don't know. All right, moving right along. This next item might not seem like much. This is a pair of boys Levi's Denizen jeans, but I got these out of a free pile, and that's why they're included in this thrift haul. So I paid $0 for this set of jeans, pair of jeans, and they sold for $8. So that's a win. I wouldn't do that with like anything that was really time consuming to get listed, to get packaged up, but jeans, that's easy. And so for free, that's a good one. I also grabbed this next item at the Pokemon sale. This is a send a friend cow something. I've never heard of this before, but this definitely has a following. And so this guy was brand new in the package. He had all the wrapping still in the box. He had all of his decals that came with it, and his pamphlets, whatever you call it, instructions. I don't know what instructions you need for a plush, but they were in there. And so this sold very quickly for $34, and I only paid $1 for him. So that Pokemon sale, in spite of me knowing little to nothing about the stuff that he was selling, I did really well out of that sale. Between the banana guy, which is coming up next, and this cow, and then a couple of other things that have sold, I did fine. Okay, and so moving on now to the banana. I picked this guy up. This is a Fortnite Nana Peely banana or something like that. I don't know Fortnite, but he was only $1 and he was filthy. So I cleaned him up and he came beautiful. Everything came out of him, and he sold very quickly for $52. I don't even think he was listed a week. So be on the lookout for a bananas plush that's 8 inches tall. Go figure. I have no idea what the attraction is, but yay me. All right, back to soft surroundings. One of my favorite things to sell. I picked a ton of soft surroundings up, all in plus sizes, at an estate sale not too long ago for $2 an item. This was one of them. This is a V-neck embroidered linen tunic, and it sold for $20. So I have been steadily selling all of those soft surrounding tunics. So they have just been moving. So Soft Surroundings is like a bread and butter brand to me. It doesn't typically go high unless there's something super special about it, but it usually does move. And so I usually pick it up if the price is right. I'm not gonna pay up for it, but I will definitely grab it if it's like $1 or $2 an item. That's absolutely well worth it. All right, this is another item from the Pokemon sale. This is a set of 6 Walking Dead Funko characters. He charged me only $1 for all 6 of them, and they sold for $13.50. I grabbed this merino wool Faribault, like vintage satin trimmed blanket, because at first I thought it was a comforter, but when I was measuring it out, it wasn't measuring like full size or queen size or anything like that. It wasn't matching up, so I think it was just a blanket, and that was how I listed it as. And it appeared to have been washed prior to, but I just noted all of that in the listing, and it was really clean, in really good condition, and it sold in about a week for $30, and I only paid $3 for it. All right, last fall, I picked up a huge lot of Hummels, and until that point, I knew nothing about Hummels, but I have been steadily learning. And one of the things that I have learned is that you have to look at the trademark on the back. If you go into Pinterest, there are all of these charts, and you can age your Hummel and see, you know, how old it is, obviously, but also how valuable it is. It's very easy to do, albeit time consuming. But I have learned a lot, and I'm glad that I've done it, because I do come across Hummels from time to time, and I've ended up picking up a few of them that have been worth it. Some of them less so than others. This sale that I'm talking about, she was selling most of them for $3 a piece, particularly if they weren't anything that was selling really high on eBay. She seemed to have just kind of scanned her mother's, it was all her mother's collection. And she had kind of gone through and found the ones that were selling really high on eBay and marked those up, and the rest of them were not so much. But some of those can do really well or sell really consistently. I have gotten rid of almost all of them, and I probably bought about 50 Hummels. And this was one of the ones that I either paid $2 or $3 for, and this was it was called Doll Mom. I can't remember off the top of my head what the trademark was. I don't think it was particularly old, but it also wasn't brand spanking new, which is kind of, you know, in the middle is not bad. It's better than if it's something that's totally brand new, unless it's going to be first issue. First issue does well, as you would think it would. That makes sense. So anyway, I paid, I don't know, maybe $2 for this, and it sold for $12. However, this next guy is called Singing Lesson. I paid the same $2 or $3 for him. He sold for $70. And the difference is his trademark. So he is trademark 1. And when it is trademark 1, that is really old. It has what's called an incised crest, which means the little queen emblem that they have on these Hummels, it's like a crown, at least that's what it looks like to me, is incised. It's dented in. It's kind of like embossed on there. It's not raised. So that makes it more valuable, obviously, because he sold way higher than the other one did. Anyway, I'm learning as I go. Let me know if you know anything about Hummels, or if you know any like resource other than just scanning Pinterest and trying to find more information about them. All right, next up is this Daniel Cremo, and I think I'm saying that right, but I make no guarantees. And it's a bed skirt. It was new in the package. Grabbed that at an estate sale for like $1 or $2, and that sold for $20. I grabbed this Olympus camera just a couple of weeks ago at that community rummage sale. I paid $3 for it. It was still in the original package. I had this listed much higher, but this guy really wanted it, and we just kept going back and forth in price, and finally I was just like, you know what, I only paid $3 for it. I have another Olympus camera that's been hanging around for a while, so I'm just gonna let this go, and it sold for $22. All right, I do not pick up a lot of concert t-shirts. However, I saw this U2 Elevation concert t-shirt from back in the day at an estate sale. He was only charging 50 cents for it. So I figured, I'm gonna give it a try. It was in really good condition. It was like really nice white, not like yellow white as some of them are. And so I grabbed it, and it's been listed a hot minute, I'm not gonna lie, but it eventually sold for full price, which really surprised me, $28. I grabbed these yellow backs, like new in the box, new old stock, size 8.5, black suede, like Oxford-y, Mary Jane type shoes for $2 at an estate sale. I only grabbed them because they were new in the box, and they sold for $44. At last year's community-wide rummage sale, I picked up this Mark by Mark Jacobs purse. It came with the duster bag. I paid $5 for it, and it sold for $38 along with the bag. I grabbed this Grace Elements like cardigan at that same sale where I was getting all of those soft surroundings pieces for $2 each. And this was also $2. It was new with the tags. It originally sold for like $68, and this sold for $28. Here is another piece of Villeroy & Boch. It is the gift that just keeps on giving. These pieces just keep on moving for me, which I'm really thrilled about. This was a serving bowl. I paid maybe $2 for this at that yard sale, the same one where I got the vintage jumbo-sized Ziploc bags. So maybe $2 because I only paid $30 for the whole set, and this one sold for $36. All right, guys, that is everything for this What's Sold video. In total, that is 30 items that I paid $54.30 for, really low cost of goods. And that makes the average cost of goods just $1.81 per item. And then I sold everything for $750.50. And if you back out my fees of 13%, that comes to $97.50, then that leaves me with a profit of $652.93, which is not too bad. So I feel like things are starting to pick up just a little bit. It was dead in February, but I'm definitely seeing things moving along. I'm really stoked that when I get back to Birmingham next week, please God, that it is going to be yard sale season again. And then the cost of goods just goes way down, which is very nice. And also I always have a lot more inventory because of it. Anyway, if you like thrifting content, hit the subscribe button down below. I'm closing in on 1,000. I mean, I'm closing in on 700, but to me that's closing in on 1,000, so I'm getting there. So please hit the subscribe button down below. I will catch you next week. Bye, guys.